Well, it's good to finally be back, but I guess I'm kind of lying when I say that. Um, Free speech is officially dead in the United States. Just go ask 20-year-old Gabriela Saldana of Florida International University, who made a Netanyahu based joke in a chat room and has now consequently been arrested. See, I told you uh, before that they were going to adopt these Noahide laws. It started with the tracking of license plates, um, tracking individuals who've made comments online, being critical of the Iran war, being critical of Netanyahu. Um, it started with that, and now we're seeing actual arrests take place in the United States for people simply making jokes about Netanyahu and what his ability to basically blow up the world whenever he stubs his toe. So uh, now we see students getting arrested for free speech and making jokes, and to make all, I was on vacation when I saw this. Of course, I was scrolling along on the beach, catching up on all the latest updates. The Department of Justice has suspended any further investigations into the Epstein Island saga. So, not a very good report card. We're blowing up bridges in Iran every single day. We're continuing to double tap strike children's schools. And the argument that's being made by the boomer conservative camp, the only camp left that really does support this administration, the argument that they make is that that's because there's weapon manufacturing facilities underneath the children's schools. Whether that's true or not, that doesn't justify double tap striking elementary schools or any schools for that matter. In my time of going down to Florida for vacation, I saw all the various geopolitical themes. I saw the rainbow flags, I saw the Trump flags, I saw the BLM flags, I saw all the different flags, because Florida is like a cultural paella. It's like a mini America in and of itself. You got people from all over the country on one peninsula. And I was there, I guess at the time, or the peak height, pinnacle moment in the season for the snowbirds before they go back to the north. So I was there, pretty good experience. Lots of live music, lots of vibrant scenery. I had a great time. But right before I went over the Sanibel Bridge, I saw a bunch of protesters. And of course, I see, a guy waving the Ukrainian flag around. And I rolled down the window and said, how about you first start out with waving your own country's flag first? And then second of all, you should probably turn that flag upside down. So you got boneheads out here waving around Ukrainian. I didn't even know what these protesters were really protesting about. I saw some people with like Trump flags, other people with LGBTQ flags, other people waving around Ukraine flags. I mean, what's going on here, people? We don't even really know what we're upset about anymore. But like I said, I went on vacation and I saw all the recurring geopolitical themes, and Florida is an interesting place because it's not ethnically concentrated. In other words, it's a pluralistic place, at least where I was. Because where I live now, it's ethnically concentrated. Everybody's usually, white, Judeo-Christian, whatever. But when you go to Florida, it's everybody from all around the country, and their different personalities and their different belief systems and their different dispositions and concerns and indifferences towards what they feel to be hot button issues of the time. Anyways, I had a great time. But I was scrolling through and saw the Department of Justice is suspending the Epstein investigation. Why are they suspending the Epstein investigation when the American people are demanding accountability more than ever for the Epstein investigation? It's infuriating, to say the least. So nobody's been locked up for the Epstein files, but 20-year-old female students from Florida International University get locked up for making Netanyahu jokes. Marines get their hands broken by AIPAC thugs for voicing their disapproval for the Iran war. Gotcha. So we're seeing bullshit take place before we'll ever see any arrests for people sacrificing young ones. And this is why I gladly stepped back and took a break. But what's frustrating to me is that I know that the older generation, they're still holding on to this MAGA situation like it's the last chopper out of Nam. And it's damning, to say the least, because a lot of these folks, they're good people, and I get along with them and everything, but they're still set in their ways about things like Zionist expansion and the nation state that is Israel. They're still asleep on the World War II thing and Western history being a lie. They're still not willing to wake up to the fact that both sides of the aisle are controlled by compromised satanic pedophiles. So everybody is pretty much awake besides the boomers. And what is horrifying to somebody like Netanyahu is this: that is all he has left in this country, because he's all alone after the boomers. He knows that his support, as far as the United States taxpayer is concerned, is coming to an end. Because I will tell you that there's going to be friction if this continues, the continued financial support for the expansion of a Zionist genocide state. And when you see students from Florida International University being arrested, while people like Randy Fine basically move to take over Florida and send your future kids to the meat grinder to die in the name of the Talmud, it really it paints a big picture, at least for me, the occupation that we are currently under. And I was told by people that I need to get out and vote, and we're going to vote this problem away, and if you don't vote, the Democrats win. And I still get fed this kind of stuff, right? There's no voting this away. There's no voting this problem away. Both sides of the aisle are compromised, both high and low, in every single state, all around the world. But yet I'm still being told to vote, as though that's going to change anything. Like what? My Zionist pedophile is better than your Zionist pedophile. That's pretty much what this is. The only two people that I'm convinced are not bought and sold are Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. Those are the only two politicians that I can think of that are not bought and sold, and are either Talmudists themselves or are just simply compromised and working for Israel. Because we have people talking about Marco Rubio and all these other rhino Republicans from this like Florida swamp camp, talking about them as though they're consequential in terms of introducing change here in 2026. I see people going online and still complaining about these petty issues that are minuscule in comparison to what we should all be focused on, which is the fact that a Babylonian blood cult not only dictates your foreign policy, but the brand of cereal that you eat today. I'm not joking. That's not an exaggeration either. And it is alarming to me that I'm down to like 2 podcasters, Stu Peters and Richie from Boston. I originally started out with 30, and it's alarming to me that I'm down to 2. And I was listening to Stu Peters today, and as harsh as some of you might think he is, spot the lie, because I don't see any lies in what he's saying, you know. And he was discussing today about how his disapproval of the current administration resulted in his family excommunicating both him and his children, because he simply pointed out the elephant in the room. He called a spade, and consequently, Stu Peters' own father cut him and his son off, and that is the divide that I continue to see within the right. It's the younger right wingers versus their parents, and you know, their parents refusing to wake up to the fact that the reason why we have to go to war for Israel every 5 minutes is because all of our politicians are blackmailed and beholden to a nation state that believes in a Bible that justifies eating young ones and touching young ones so long as they are Goyim, Amalek. Amalek is Hebrew for marked for death. We're not only just Goyim to these people, we are Amalek, which means we are the necessary sacrifice to justify the further expansion of a Zionist Talmudic nation state. And don't get me wrong, so in my time down in vacation, I met a lot of different people of all different walks of life, and I truly enjoyed my time speaking to each and every one of them. I call some of them friends of mine even. But they're still like the mainstream Mockingbird media propaganda apparatus is still at large in their overall ability to evaluate information and then be able to discern fact and fiction. And it's scary to me, because one of the main ingredients to a new world order is something that I say all the time. The main ingredient to something like a new world order is a civilization and or society no longer being able to come to sensible conclusions because the media is inherently dishonest. So in my time going down to Florida, I enjoyed myself, but it was not without me thinking about what is on the horizon for this country, because the American people and their refusal to stand up, even all the way back in 2020, has now allowed these people to not only gaslight us, but now bat around the idea of re-education camps for those of us who will not have a social credit score when the social credit score and the digital ID and the New World Order is fully implemented. The New World Order isn't coming, by the way, it's here. And speaking about the New World Order, this monologue today is brought to you by a book about my great-grandfather, Grenville Clark. As you can see here, it's titled a very private public citizen, the life of Grenville Clark. That is Grenville Clark. That is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president. And on the back, there's a very involved title. I have not read the book yet. I plan to read the book soon. I just don't know how I feel about this. And I know that this book right here is going to feed me a steady dose of goy slop. And what I'm going to have to do, see, because the other monologue I talked about official stories and unofficial stories. So this right here is the official story of my great-grandfather. So now, being awake and being a truther, I have to now go into this, read it, and take it for what it is at face value, which is going to be good government American goy slop bullshit. And then I'm going to have to triangulate the information that I'm given so that I can then dissolute it in a way that we can all break down as truthers. In other words, when I go and I read all about the Illuminati and how this country was basically taken over, and this is how it happened, starting with this book. So when I'm done reading about these Illuminati pigs and their official story as American heroes, according to the Paragon Press, the Ghislaine, the Robert Maxwell owned, Rothschild owned Paragon Press that controls all of our textbooks in schools. I'm going to have to read this, know that it's goy slop, and then I'm going to have to discern between fact and fiction. And then I'm going to read that book, and then I'm going to tell you what I've read. And I can bet you dollars to donuts that it's going to tell me everything that I think it's going to tell me without actually saying it. So I'm going to read the official story of my great-grandfather, Grenville Clark, which you can get a copy of on Amazon. And I'm going to tell you all what it told me, and then we're going to unpack what the book is really saying in so many words. You see, unlike the media, I know how to fill my coffee so that when I'm like Netanyahu and I'm going like this, I don't spill my coffee like the AI CGI video that we all saw, where he had the coffee all the way up to the brim and he was going like this and it didn't spill. Yeah, that was a really weird proof of life video for Netanyahu, by the way. But unlike the media, I know how to get my portions right when I'm trying to sell a story. So I encourage you all to read that book, A Very Private Public Citizen, The Life of Grenville Clark, and his adventures on Illuminati, Rothschild, Wall Street, Harvard, CIA Boulevard. And I don't think that things happen for no reason. I think that I was eventually supposed to stumble upon this work and make sense of it, knowing what I do now about the world and everything that has been sold to us. But going forward, the Department of Justice suspending the Epstein investigation and 20-year-old female Florida International University students being arrested for making Netanyahu jokes does not exactly tell me that we're golden aging when I go to that gas pump and that 20 ain't 20ing like it did about 2 months ago. We're not exactly golden aging when we're already bringing matters of speech back onto the table. We're not exactly golden aging when you have Fox News correspondents tiptoeing around friends of RuPaul in what they felt might have been the use of some insensitive language a few years ago. That's not golden aging. That's gay and satanic. But going forward, when I navigate this world, this this propaganda apparatus, which is inherently fake, gay, and satanic, I realize that people are no longer, like I said before, able to come to sensible conclusions as to what is taking place in 2026. I felt that it was my duty to come online starting in 2018 and begin to talk to you all about the New World Order and the agenda, the government agenda, to take away national sovereignty, for us to fall under a one world government that will have digital ID, social credit scores, 15-minute cities, carbon allowances, subscription-based usury, and you'll basically live in a complete and total hell. I felt that it was my duty to talk to you all about the New World Order, and that is because I always tell you that my great-grandfather, Grenville Clark, wrote the New World Order, even though it was originally called World Peace Through World Law. But over time, like the 13 bloodline families do, they just rebrand. They change the names of things. So what was once World Peace Through World Law is now the New World Order. But now the New World Order, that's not a softened, politically correct, palatable term enough for the subverted goy. So now it's the Green New Deal, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the Great Reset, the Cybernetic Revolution. So they have to call it something else now. And the only reason why they had to call it something else is due to the proliferation of technology and the advent of EV and electric this and super technology. So they had to rebrand over time, like anything else does. Like your textbooks in school, over time they have to rebrand and even readopt new language as time goes on, because even language changes. So what was once World Peace Through World Law then became the New World Order, which is now called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And if you still think that that's some kind of a kooky conspiracy theory, I just showed you hard evidence that the New World Order is not a conspiracy theory, and that the New World Order is in fact real, that the New World Order is in 2026 in motion, and it is going to directly affect each and every one of us who is not one of the useful idiots or people at the top of the Zio pedo totem pole. And what a badge of honor that must be for all of us. We're not powerful because we're not compromised Zio pedos, shilling for endless war like Lindsey Graham. Well, he's probably, texting all of his little rhino Republican pseudo fake Christian buddies from the bathroom at an Elton John concert in San Francisco. So I see that all this war and all this chaos, it's intentional, and it's so they can look like the saviors in coming up with the solution. Because the next thing that I've been hearing is something called Project Bluebeam. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that got red-pilled 5 minutes ago, Project Bluebeam is basically all of the government's super technology that has capabilities that go beyond anything that we could ever conceive of. And the idea is them using the technology to imitate what would be something like the second coming of Christ, so as to scare everybody and deceive the masses that way by using technology, hologram technology, to make it look as though a Messiah has returned to the earth, consequent of World War III and everything that is taking place right now. The other question is, how are people like Howard Lutnick, Erica Kirk, how are these people still walking around? People like Eric Swalwell, everybody that's been found out in the Epstein, how are these people still walking around as though everything is gravy? you know. But yet we have people being arrested for making jokes. And now we got other people being arrested because they're using Grok AI for like sick and depraved reasons having to do with pornography. But my thing is people are getting arrested for using an artificial intelligence application to do unsavory things. However, they weren't really doing anything wrong, but now we're seeing people getting arrested for the way in which they use an artificial intelligence application. So this is them kind of moving the goalpost. This is them pushing the envelope in trying to determine what they can really get away with. And right now, your free speech is getting chipped away. World War III is getting closer than it's ever been. And by the way, speaking about war, the Iran military, the IRGC, has been putting out Lego-themed music videos that seem to be quite poignant in touching upon all of the failed policies and holes in this administration. And I guess that it's truly gotten this administration's panties in a twist, because the IRGC is making Lego-themed music videos that are geopolitical hit pieces on this current administration. And I gotta say, they were pretty well done. And go watch some of those Lego-themed music videos. Tell me how they were wrong. Because right now, Iran's looking pretty based. And for the record, an Iranian never called me a goy, and an Iranian never worked to subvert my government so that they can touch young ones and then make laws protecting them and arresting me for criticizing that. Just like Randy Fine wants to in Florida. He wants to get in there so that he can adopt all these Noahide laws, so that when your future kids get sent off to the Talmudic meat grinder in the Middle East on behalf of a greater Israel, he can arrest you when you have something to say about it on the back end. Not a very good report card, America. Not a very good report card at all. I don't think this is golden aging. And the more and more I listen to Stu Peters, the angrier and angrier I get. Because someone like Stu Peters and I, we can relate a lot about families and no longer speaking to family members for these various reasons. And lo and behold, a lot of those reasons for me probably are also geopolitical as well. So the more and more I listen to Stu Peters, the more and more not only do I wake up, but the more and more I become enraged. And yeah, I don't recommend anybody watch the news at all. Like, I'm sorry, I know that for a lot of people the news is something that's normal to you, it's something that's familiar. So therefore for a lot of people it's a source of comfort, even with everything going on. It's a source of anxiety reduction. But I encourage you all to get outside, turn off the news, get outside, and just go enjoy life. Because I don't know what's in store next. I won't pretend to know but all I know is that it can't be good if the American people are now uncovering tax fraud on top of satanic pedophilia. I can't imagine that that's going to end well, because this is like a tinderbox. This is a heated situation. And as this heated situation continues, I'll have more soon. But before I go, make sure that you read my great-grandfather's book, A Very Private Public Citizen, The Life of Grenville Clark. I'll read the Grenville Clark was born to wealth and privilege in Manhattan. Clark grew up on a first-name basis with both Presidents Roosevelt, and his friends included Supreme Court justices. As a member of the corporation Harvard's elite governing board, Clark wrote a still relevant treatise on academic freedom. He fought a successful public battle with his good friend, President Franklin Roosevelt, over FDR's attempt to pack the Supreme Court in 1937. He refused pay while serving as a private advisor to the Secretary of War during World War II, and he worked closely with the NAACP to uphold civil rights for African Americans during the tumultuous 1950s and 1960s. This biography weaves the remembrances of family and friends with Clark's own inimitable observations of life and the world in which he lived. A very private public citizen brings Clark out of the shadows, offering readers an inspiring example of a true patriot and humanitarian, more concerned with the well-being of his country and his fellow man than with his own fame.